From just outside the perimeter of Atlanta, Georgia, where unfortunately we had to play the revolution before we finished our evolution. We're evolving.
Okay,
We're evolving mid-season reboot.
yeah, we are. I mean, it's apropos.
I
I
warned
don't
you.
know that
I warned you.
you,
Rusty.
you did. You did. You warned me, and I get what and in the words of my daughter's kindergarten teacher, I get what I get, and I don't pitch a fit.
More rhymes. It is the Five Take Podcast, and we are back.
We're back!
Like
Yay!
I don't know, like heat advisories during the Peachtree Road Race. Hey,
Mm.
shout out to Shannon. Shannon Celeste ran that this morning. She's been on our women's footy forum. She's in a couple of our group chats and stuff. We keep in touch with her. I think she ran that. It's a 10K, yes?
Yeah, it's a 10K, and she ran it, and she won her age division.
She ran that thing in like 44 minutes.
Like, that's crazy. So
That's 6 miles.
Snap Shannon.
In
Also,
44 minutes. That's
friend of the pod.
pretty good.
Pretty good. Friend of the pod, Clady also ran the Peachtree today for the first time ever. It was a big goal of hers. And
Nice.
she does a lot of stuff with the East Atlanta Run Club and stuff like that. So snaps to you, Clady, for
Well
getting
done.
out there and sweating to the oldies on the Peachtree, and everybody else who ran that sucker today, because better you guys than me.
God, it is, even in the morning, it is brutally hot outside. I've been a runner for 15, 20 years. I've never had speed, so that really impresses me. I mean, I could knock out a 10K if I have to in maybe just under an hour, and I'm dead. She did this thing in 44 minutes in the heat, in a horde of people generating heat.
Right. It's not like you get to run free with the wind. It's there's half of Atlanta on top of you.
It's humid. You can't even get a courtesy breeze. It's stagnant as hell. That's tough. That's really tough. So, well done, Shannon. Color me impressed. That's crazy, and you wouldn't catch me out in the heat running that right now. But well done. We're proud of you. All right, so here we are back with another. I guess we saw this coming eventually. We love Rob, and he's got a pretty good record, to be honest, over his brief tenures. But he was never going to go undefeated.
No.
Forever.
No, this isn't on the coaching job, and this isn't on. This is
even though we did get, we'll get into it. One take that was critical of Rob and the coaching, and that's fine. Appreciate everyone still, because I was, apologies, late to posting these takes. I worked very late last night, and didn't get to the rewatch till late, and then posted them this morning. We still got a few comments in the couple hours that they've been up, so I appreciate that.
I just I think. Again, everybody in town is looking for a savior. And the last time I, went out and looked at religious art, it was not pictures of Rob Valentino hanging on the wall. Just saying, like there's only so much the guy can do with the Rob. Well, even
and
if
he's going to
interim,
be interim. He's not going to be the next full-time head coach of this team. And we say that with love and respect. It's not a ding. He's just not going to be.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know that they wouldn't make him the full-time hire. I don't know that he's showing us any reason to not make him the full-time hire. I think they're going to take their time evaluating all of their options before.
That's a good thing.
They should.
That's a good thing that he's doing a good job, and they're not the front office, when I say they, are not having to rush because it's cratering.
Correct.
He's already got a better record than low bar. I get it, but I will agree, and I didn't mean to sound harsh on him. He hasn't done anything to lose the job. I just think that the plan isn't to retain him because he is that guy. I mean, his level of experience is less than Pineda, so if people were digging Pineda because he didn't have the prerequisite, right? Well, neither does Rob. He's got the players' love and affection. He's got our love and affection for what he's meant to this club as a head coach interim and as the assistant. The dude's been here. through it all.
I just think like I said, I think it doesn't matter who we would bring in. We could bring in, you could bring in a Jurgen Klopp, you could bring in a Pochettino, you could bring in some big name. There's only going to be so much that they can do with a roster that's in transition the way ours is right now. Bottom line, we are missing 2 DP offensive spots right now. We are not getting those full.
One of those DPs, we don't win without. We just don't. Not talking about Yorgos either.
No.
We're talking about Thiago, and we'll get into him a little bit later, as well as we should, even though he's not a take because he didn't travel with his team, because his time here is done. And but I think we will talk a little bit about what that void means, what losing a player of that kind of caliber. No disrespect to Gigi, even though I think he's shown a little disrespect to us. And I saw you and heard you stirring the pot a bit on that a little while ago.
All I can say about that, and we can close the books on this, is you get what you give in this world. And he did not have a great first outing for Cruz Azul, and it's unfortunate. Don't like to see it, but yeah, you get what you give. You get what you give. End of story.
End of story. All right. Well, before we hop into the takes, quickly thank Mason Mill, who now have Dr. Miner there. And I heard you all shouting him out. We shouted him out on the last pod, too. It's really cool to have him back. They are closed and have been closed this week because everybody needs a hiatus, man, including me. But we appreciate everything they've done with us and for us. And I'm really happy that despite the turnover that and the changes that they've been going through, that they're still keeping it going. And just as much as I appreciate y'all, you and Kristen and Anna Marie was on and Jack was on, keeping this thing going. People come and go. The pod remains, and the practice at Mason Mill remains too. Give them a call, 404-321-0082. Ashley or Rachel will be on the other end of the line and get you set up with your appointment. They will be back open on Tuesdays. They're normally open Tuesday through Saturday. They were just closed down this week to, get away for a little bit. Everybody needs that.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all.
With this heat, everybody should run to the beach and have a good time. And
go where there's water or somewhere cooler.
Somewhere where there's water.
Don't run a 10K in 44 minutes. My God.
But hey, after you run a 10K in 44 minutes, it's nice to know you've got a quality chiropractic service that you can turn to fix you right up.
Yep. Get in there on Tuesday. You're probably going to need it. All right. We appreciate them. Thank you to them. All right. How you want to do this? You want to jump right into takes? You want to talk about the few comments we got on the match itself?
You want to talk about America's birthday?
You want to talk a little America? You got the USA kit. You want to talk about the inevitability of Jurgen Klopp being the next USMNT head coach, right? This is going to happen.
Yes.
We're going to back the Brinks truck up.
We are speaking this into the universe because we are willing it to happen at this point.
Never. Since we've been rudely bounced out, U.S. Soccer is going to conduct another comprehensive review. Hopefully this one doesn't take better part of a year. I don't think it should.
They don't have a better part of a year. They have got to get somebody in now.
Right now.
And there are plenty of quality candidates out there. I think, there's people, there are people here that are stateside. There are international resume pedigreed coaches. There are a lot, in much the same vein that, like, if you're going to be looking for a new manager, like we are here in Atlanta, I think now is the time to be doing it because you're in that transitional flux with the leagues in Europe where the top flight managerial talent is. You're sort of in transition in Mexico. You've got there's opportunities here, but if they want to have the World Cup cycle that this talent pool is expected to deliver, they got to get somebody in, and they got to get somebody in there before the September friendlies. And I think it can happen. I think that there is absolutely a time crunch here, and
there should be a sense of urgency, not panic, but urgency.
I have never been the biggest 3G fan. I don't
I
think
don't
the
think many
system.
have been. So you're not
I
alone.
don't think this. No, because I don't think the system that he plays is set up to maximize the
Well,
talent pool
let's talk
that we have.
about, because it hasn't been all been bad. It hasn't all been bad. Let's give the
I
man
what
a
I was
little bit
going
of
to say as
credit
a
for the
follow up to
things
that
he
is
did do.
I don't think, given the match circumstances he was handed, that outside of one decision, which we'll get into in a little bit, that he made bad calls. I think his lineup selection was good. I think, in terms of the formation deployment, things I don't disagree with any of those choices that he made.
And the players have
Um,
responsibility as well.
we said
Just
we
like
said
with
that
our
here.
club.
I was
Same
just
shit.
gonna say it's a real interesting
Yeah.
parallel to a club that looks great on paper that is vastly underperforming to expectations. It's really kind of ironic how similar of a situation Atlanta United is in with
Hard
respect
to
to the U.S. men's national team.
hard to tell when the five stripes start and the red and white and stripes begin or end. It's
Well,
it's
and
it's similar. It's in terms of what we're looking for in the expectation level and the caliber of coaching, the caliber of players underperforming. There's a lot of parallels going on between club and country here.
Well, and what's interesting is that there is a big school of people out there in the internet universe, right, that want to take a wild crap on the quality of league that MLS is, and how the U.S. men's team should be so much better now because all of our starting players are coming
That
from
is
the better
not
league
true.
ever.
That is
My
not, that
my
just
point in
because we
saying
have them
that,
in Europe means that we're world beaters. We're not.
on the other side of their face, people are now saying that this particular collective of players are too soft, right? And it's interesting that they say that because MLS is not a soft league, right? It might not be a
No.
it might not be a top 3
No,
league.
it's
This is
physical.
a this is a
It's a
physical,
physical
beat you
league.
up, meat grinder of a soccer league. So you want to know why you don't have, if you want to know why you don't have the kind of like muscle and grit, whatever you want to call that,
Yeah.
because Klinsman before Berhalter was like, yeah, no, I don't want any players that are MLS players. And for all that 3G came from MLS, he has absolutely shown a bunch of deference to players that are not playing here in MLS, which I think we can note with my one questionable lineup decision, which was during the debacle that was the Panama match here. And take all the very questionable reffing out of the discussion.
Didn't affect the outcome.
No, it didn't affect the outcome. And my big question is, why are you putting up, if you're going to 5 in the back and you have a Miles Robinson on your bench, why is Cameron Carter-Vickers getting the call over Miles in what is essentially Miles's home barn when you need an energy burst and
you need something
solid
more attack-minded as well? It was too conservative. We were playing for the draw.
Yeah.
That wasn't it. It just wasn't.
But it makes you wonder, and this I think will, kind of lead us into the Thiago discussion that we want to have.
Sure.
Kind of makes you wonder if Miles, in looking at all the options that Miles had in front of him, made the right call going to a smaller market team like Cincinnati.
Don't know. We talked about that in the last pod, but I'm not sure how he feels about it because he's not getting looks. I don't know if he's getting looks from Europe from this move. I don't imagine so. I don't see him. Granted, I haven't been paying close attention. I haven't seen him making headlines or anything. I don't think he's having the kind of season where his plan is going to come to fruition.
He's having another solid
season with a good team,
like where with a good team where the team is very good defensively. He's putting up,
but a world-beating, headline-grabbing, phone ringing off the hook.
Well, and that's my
no
question.
Copa minutes.
You stayed here.
Now, would he have gotten those minutes if he had stayed? I don't know.
There's no way to know, but I find it really rather shocking that, since the injury, he's completely fallen off the radar for the matches that matter to the U.S. men's team.
That might have just been a mistake. on Berhalter's part. Another coach may see fit to play him.
You don't know.
Don't know.
We don't know. But, Berhalter's not playing Walker Zimmerman either. But Walker Zimmerman's form has dropped off.
Yes.
I don't think Miles's form has dropped off.
I don't think so. No. So that's interesting.
I think, okay, fine. So then it begs to question, if you're betting on yourself, which is what he did, taking less money to go to Cincinnati, who might be a better team MLS-wise than Atlanta right now, but they certainly don't have the international connections or...
No, I mean, look, that lateral move was to get a move to Europe. It wasn't make him happier or, it's with Europe in mind.
Yeah. It begs the question, why, why would you leave a club that has a history of making what players want to happen with international transfers? Right?
I would love an all or nothing Atlanta United. There's been so many interesting things that have happened at this club, drama-wise, transfers, comings and goings, players happy, unhappy, that we just don't know all the details. I would just drink up that spilled tea all over the floor with a straw. I would love to just sop that up. There's some interesting stuff that's going on that we just, I would love to know more about that saga.
Well, and I think it's interesting because there's really only been, I don't know, I think maybe two players now that I can think of that came here with stated goals that did not get manifested by their time with the club.
Who are those two for you?
One Ezekiel Barco.
Okay.
And I don't think Gigi fulfilled what he said he wanted to do here.
Neither of those are on the club.
No, none of those are on the club, which is really interesting in light of the now pending completion of the transfer of Thiago.
I hear it's somebody that is meeting his stated goals. It's seemingly
but I mean,
so.
Even if you go to Marcy, to PT, PT got his money. Granted, he didn't get his money going back to Europe, which I think is what he was kind of banking on. But he, went to the Saudi League and he got his money, and we got our money, and everybody, nobody was unhappy about it. I think it boils down to Barco being kind of a whiny, spoiled brat who saw what happened to Miggy, came here and said, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to show up. And they're going to ship me off to Europe for $25 million, and I'm going to go play in the Prem." And when he started being a little bit of a prima donna, and it didn't sit well with Tata, and it didn't sit well with
start knocking on
Frank.
other players' wives, and
maybe
just the shenanigans. He didn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't serious enough.
Character matters.
Character does matter, and I think Thiago, on top of deserving credit for his talent, which, let's be fair, when we're comparing a Thiago to a Barco or a Yorgos, or insert player's name here, Miggy's probably the only one that's close to being on that just inherent God-given talent level. The other thing he deserves credit for is exactly what you're talking about. The character. That's not really... It is coached, it is helped along by players and coaches and the staff and the family and everybody around him. But throughout his time here, he has grown not only as a player, but as a person. And he came in with a lot of noise for some... Look, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Who among us, glass houses and all, hasn't fucked up? Said something that okay, I shouldn't have done that. He came in with a lot of noise. Some, which I thought was a little unfair, taken too much for me. The response from some player or some fans and some supporter groups out there, as far as kind of laying guilt at this man before, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Despite all that, head down, did the work, stayed pretty humble, which I imagine is not the easiest thing to do when I know everybody around him is telling him, yeah, you're the heir apparent. Argentina. Mm-hmm. When Messi's gone, it's you. I'm sure he's hearing that. Man won a World Cup. Substitute, but he still won a World Cup. He's kept his head on him. And, I really appreciated what he said in the locker room after this last match, which I was really happy I got to go to. I was really happy I had some time and got to go see that, get his goal. He said as much, that this has been a good place for him. It's been a good stop for him, and he's grown as a player and a person. That matters. That matters. Mm-hmm. He's earnest. He's genuine. Like you were saying with Barco, there was just this, yeah, it's going to happen. I'm Barco. Like, Gigi, I don't think there's that exact same thing, but his mentality, his level of getting frustrated, always punching the ground. Thiago had bad games. He had bad games. And he kind of just didn't make anything of it, you know what I mean? Just next game, try and pick it up.
Yep.
And carry on. And then when you look back on the whole body of work, on average, amazing player. And he's going to be, I hope, beloved here and remembered fondly. And I think he's going to be an eternal feather in the cap of this club for when he goes on to achieve really great things for club and country. We will always be able to say he was ours first. You want to be like that? Come here, behave like that, train like that, have that mentality, and you too can go to Europe and everything. And if you don't do those things, if you do it like these other players, that's what will happen. There's a stark contrast. He has been that guy.
This is the thing. Every time you watch a broadcast that features Miguel Almiron, they always say, at least in the U.S., the former Atlanta United standout.
How dope is that going to be to hear when he's in World Cup 26?
I mean, it's going to be gonna be pretty cool. I heard it. I was watching the
broadcasters will say that. They will reference us. That is not a small thing to hear your club's name on the world fucking stage. Every match. It's big. It's really big for this club. We won't know how big it is until those moments happen and we see who comes in next.
I just think it's good to step back and appreciate that while look, we don't always want to be we want to ultimately get to where we are the destination club and not the stop on the, the big city stop on the cross country railroad.
He stayed longer than I think any of us thought he would.
Yeah, I think we all thought he was going to be out of here in 2 years.
And you know what? He could have had a shit attitude about that.
Yep.
Could have phoned it in this season. I want to go to Europe. Harumph. He didn't. And he constantly... Some of us probably expected him to. I'll raise my hand a little to that.
He played for the badge. And he said nothing but good things about... Not that badge, but...
Not this badge either. We're all wearing different badges today. But but we know what we mean. He did. He did. He was consistent with that. He just didn't have a piss-poor attitude like we've seen with some other players. And that to me is just so freaking refreshing, right? Yeah. After all the ups and downs and, where we've been at for the last 5 years with the club. It hasn't always been easy to be a player of this club.
No.
It just hasn't. Mm-mm. It's easier to be cynical, to have a poor attitude, to be down on your fellow players and everything.
And to blame everything about
this.
Yeah, and it's not
instead of
me
just looking
and
at
what I'm doing.
This is my circumstance. Accept that. How can I be better? What can I'm here. How can I make the most out of this time for the team, for my players, for myself, for my family, for my future? He seems at a very young age to have understood and processed all of that and acted on it appropriately. Color me impressed. I know I'm really sunshine pumping here and glowing over the guy.
Because I definitely, had some questions about how he was going to manage the transition from where he was to and not just a club like Atlanta, but like a city like Atlanta where we take these things that matter really, really seriously. And I remember when he came in, one of the first things they did was they took him to the Center for Civil and Human Rights after that whole Instapost incident, with his goal celebration. And, again, much, much respect for learning and listening.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
I care less about the mistake a person makes and more about the response. He's had the response. He is still a kid. I'm just really impressed at his growth, his quick growth, his maturity level to take all that in stride, to be able to self-examine and say, you know what, I do need to improve in this way or that way, and then to do it.
I know a lot of
and to show gratitude afterwards.
I know a lot of adults that would have handled it nowhere near as well as he did.
Right.
I know plenty of adults that don't handle it as well as he does.
That just don't handle criticisms.
You know, Thiago, if you listen or hear anything of this, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for the beauty.
Thank you for being who you are.
Beautiful game.
Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for setting that bar, setting that example that we hope other players of that high of caliber pursue as well. I mean, him and Miggy, and there's been a couple others, but those are the two real standouts for us that have shown the way. It is possible. I realize that those are like talent on another level, and that sometimes, you know, a player isn't going to have just that inherent God-given ability, but you can still make a lot of a career here if you just behave like that. If you just commit like that, you too can have this kind of success for yourself. He's shown the way.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just so impressed with the guy. I'm so grateful that we got to watch what we did, have him for the time that we did. And I think we're going to see great things out of him in the coming years. I really do.
So that being said, Glenn, how do you replace him? What do you want to see? I'm curious. Like, do you want to see us bring Miggy back? Because for all intents and purposes, Miggy's available. And Miggy hasn't said, no, I don't ever want to come back to MLS. And we could certainly afford him.
You can't ask me that, because I don't have any self-control when it comes to that. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, right? And Aragorn and Arwen are in the little elf kingdom. I forget what the city is called. Rivendell. And Arnor gives Elrond her little token emblem.
The Light of Erendi.
The Light of Erendi. Thank you. And Aragorn looks at her stunned. You cannot give this to me. You can't ask me that. It's kind of almost like putting a bowl of queso in front of me. You can't do that either, because I'll just eat the whole thing. I'll find enough things to dip in it to eat it. I can't be rational about that, because he's here.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
Of that caliber, of that quality, of what he can bring, the game breaker, the speed, all of that. Yeah. I mean, if he wanted to, I'm sure price is not a problem right now. We need a playmaker. We need a playmaker, somebody that can be that connective tissue.
And take the Miggy element out of it, Okay. So, would you rather have us bring in, with all of this wonderful abundance of cash that we have, an established, mature 10 replacement for Thiago?
I see.
Or would you rather us go out and try to find the next up and coming 10 who might be a little raw around the edges, but has a tremendous ceiling?
I think you can make a case either way, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, I think there's a fair argument to make either way. For me, and where the club is at right now, I think I need somebody a little bit more proven, mature leadership, ready to step in and command respect and lead this team in the middle of the park. I think that's what we need right now. Now, will that fit the model of this club and our long-term goals? Maybe not so much. We're not in win right now mode. Like, that's not happening.
No, that window closed. That window closed in the middle of May when we fired.
When we started really cratering. Right now, we're just getting the playoffs, do well, U.S. Open, maybe nick a trophy there, or Leagues Cup, and get hot in October. That's where we're at right now. We're going to get in 6th at best, I think. I don't expect a home playoff. That's fine. It is what it is. But given where the club is right now, those are kind of our needs right now. I think it would be difficult to ask a player of Thiago 3 years ago to come in and be what this team needs right now. But I get it that that doesn't really fit the long-term model of the player we haven't had that in that position. We never have. Not Miggy, not Barco, not Pity, not Thiago. None of them. So it would be a departure.
I think Garth is going to want someone more in the Nicholas Ladero mold.
Okay, sure.
That's kind of, I mean, I think, you know, again, look, he's got a track record of this is what he's done. And if we look at the types of players that he's brought in on the last couple of transfer windows, like he wasn't bringing in up and coming players. He was bringing in existing, proven commodities.
You've been with 2-3 clubs previous. A little MLS experience would be helpful, I think. I don't need a 30-plus-year-old veteran to come in that role.
No, I think he can bring somebody in the 24 to 26 age range.
Yes.
Someone that could actually be here for 5 or 6 years and be that kind of impact player that Ladero was.
I would love, that would be a home run for me if they could find the guy that wants to sign a long-term contract. I think it's tough.
Us as a club, I think that, you know, filling that void at 10 is far more important than filling the void at striker. And I think striker for this club, at like the way that we're built, the way we are from idea of personality, I think it's going to be a much more difficult ask to try to come in and find yet another Joseph Mold kind of player. And I'm not you know, I wish Thierry could stay off the IR because
that's the other thing that's killing us.
I know. I'm not upset I was not upset with the rotation of Thierry and Rios, I think, because they gave you different dynamics and different looks. It was something different to mix up from the standpoint of what game state was dictating that we needed to do. You know, if you needed somebody who was a far more like run in your face kind of, you know, that kind of striker, you've got Thierry. If you needed, you know, more of the garbage collector mold, someone to come in with headers and whatever, you know, you've got Daniel, you know, you have Daniel Rios. And if need be, they can, you know, you can run 2 9s because they play different styles of soccer. So you weren't conflicting with everybody going after the same,
which is a good thing to have in our 2 backup strikers. I don't want the exact same. That makes no sense. It takes away the ability to do what you're talking about if we wanted to play 2 9s up top.
If Thierry could stay healthy, I would be far less.
If everybody could stay healthy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. It can't just be bad luck at this point because it's just so prevalent every year. I mean, injuries are a fact of life. Some of them are contact. There's nothing you can do about that. But this team
4 years
across the spectrum just gets hurt too often. I don't know what the fix is, but I'm at the point where I can't just be like, well, shit happens. It's too often, and we have got to figure out what's going on there and improve it in some way. We can't just accept bad luck at this point. It's too much. It's way too much. Anyhow, let's dive into let's dive into some.
Speaking of one Daniel Rios, you got a low key this match?
Not really. I really don't. No, I really don't. You could go with Rios. I was gonna go with Fortune, but I think he's just kind of a man of the match. It's always difficult to find a low key in a loss.
I don't think so. I think this one was pretty obvious. I think it was Ronald Hernandez.
Good assist.
It was a beautiful assist. I mean, absolute stunner of an assist. But I think also we should recognize Ronald Hernandez for the quality of workhorse, get out there, do whatever job is required.
Isn't out there a lot of the time, but is 100% committed when he is.
And I know that there are a lot of people that cringe every time his name gets called, but like, this is a club guy. He's been here for a long time. He has filled in all sorts of gaps anywhere that's needed.
And that's been unfortunate for him when you're played in a role. It's not really your role. You don't do so well. I mean, but he hasn't complained. His attitude's been there. The effort has been there. He's been thrown in a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and he does get maligned. He does.
Yeah, it's not all on his fault, but I feel like calling the man out when he had a really, I think, had a really good game last night.
That's nice, and I think you're
being nice.
Yeah, well, I think it's more than nice. I don't think you're just giving him a pity shout out. I think it's earned. No. I think that's fair. Yeah, especially for his contribution in the limited minutes that he had. That's fair.
I just think now more, right now for the better part of the next month, we need everyone in the squad to play with the kind of attitude of show up and do the job that's needed to do.
That's where we're at.
This is offense by committee because we don't have any.
And we'll get into a bit more of that. Nobody else really had any low keys. Some people did have some comments on Muyumba, his defensive liabilities, and that's unfortunate. I do want to briefly shout out 13_OMR. Who is that actually? I don't know, on Twitter. But he's not, or they are not, I don't know the gender actually, to be fair to them. I'm not seeing any differences in how Rob coaches this team versus Pineda.
I don't agree with that, because I think the
record's
big not the record.
He just thought the team looked, or I'm sorry, they thought the team looked lazy, lethargic, without any sort of IQ. I mean, dude's an interim coach. Like, it's not his team per se, so that felt not out of line, just a little harsh. He's doing the job.
I think, this is the first match in the post Thiago era, which
also
that's not club huge. Official. Losing,
no Thiago interim coach. I don't know if that's really on Rob, the result.
I don't think you can pin that on Rob, because there's two different things that I can point to specifically from a tactical perspective that he's doing that's vastly different from what Pineda was doing, which didn't show up last night because we did more of the backwardy passing.
Yeah, are we talking about the pressing?
Yeah,
that's number 3. We can jump to it. I mean, if you are going to hold a higher line, you actually do have to press. You can't just stand in there and the opponent's half. We did it last match, and it was great, I thought. We didn't this time, and New England was just far too comfortable in our end. Like, they just moved that ball with time and space and ease, and eventually found their way towards goal. And you're going to when you're not being put under serious pressure. So that was odd. I don't know what that was all about, because the first 5 minutes looked good, and then
I was going to say, if you go back to the first 5 matches with Rob, I don't think we were playing possession ball for the sake of possession, where it was the ticky-tacky back pass here, back pass here.
The possession wasn't the priority.
Correct. And that is a big difference from the way Pineda had them playing. And I think also
possession first. This is more, if we have possession, okay, sure.
And it's going to take some time to break that training mentality. They've had that mentality rained into them for the last 3 years.
Yeah. It doesn't, an interim coach, even though he's been part of the coaching staff, it's not like he hasn't been there, but
Rob has publicly said now that, and Rob has publicly said that he did not necessarily agree with that specific philosophy of possession first ball that Pineda had.
Right.
And there's that.
That takes time. That's fair. Yeah.
The thing that Rob did do last night that I don't think we ever saw Pineda do was actually change the formation up mid-match.
Very rarely did we ever see that. And it's something we harped on, the ability to adapt.
Yep.
Without needing a halftime whistle. And sometimes we didn't even see it at the halftime whistle, because Pineda was just that guy that's, no, this is how I see the game. This is how we're going to play. Don't care who the opponent is. I can give some credence to that, some respect for a coach being committed to their ideals, but my brother in Christ. Like, if it ain't working, I know pride can be a bitter pill, but you got to swallow that. and adapt. So credit to Rob there. Yeah.
And I wrote up takes that we didn't publish,
Sure.
but
Ours
that
was
I wrote
very
up
similar.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, we just went with Glenn's because Glenn's way better at verbalizing these things. But my take on it was we wanted adaptability. We are getting adaptability because we've seen Rob actually make tactical shifts and subs that. Okay, where did that come from? And it took me a minute. Oh, we're going to change the shape up
in a way that the players also understood and were okay with, were comfortable with. They didn't appear to be thrown into something that they just completely didn't understand.
I mean, you can't get mad given the match that Muyumba was having, and that's take 5.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to talk Muyumba?
Well, but you can't get mad at him bringing on Saba for Muyumba because of if Muyumba had been playing better, I think you put Saba in for Jande, right? Who also wasn't having the match of his career. But
spreadsheet jockey on Twitter. We've gotten to the point that we call him Turnover Tristan.
Oof.
Harsh but fair, I think. Yeah. Also, TPEG88, Travis Pegram, the beginning of this season, and this is also in reference to Muyumba, and my take on him, I would have brought out a pitchfork at this statement. Man can be silky and smooth, but lately, oof. You ain't wrong, and it really sets the defense up poorly because the pieces are moving forward with him. Then boom, turnover. I mean, the guy just loses the ball in the worst places at the worst time. But he does have those moments where you're like, oh, that's quite nice. And then
I'm starting to
the consistency. We just don't have it. It's not just him. I am calling him out. But when you're in the position you're in, you can't be confident in the ball that much.
Look, I think you can pin a lot of last night on more on Gregerson and Williams. Just
Gregerson
both of whom
not having good games, huh?
No, I
couple
wonder
good moments, couple good tackles, but
I wonder if they've rushed him back too soon and he's just not match fit. And because
also
of fixture
heavy legs midweek,
like I think because of fixture congestion, like they had to give Noah Cobb a rest. Yeah, it was and Derek Williams had his first real questionable outing with us. He's been so solid all season. So
that's the first time I've ever really had any notes on him. He's not a take, but I was like, huh. And the only reason he's not a take is because I got to write that off as a blip. Like,
yeah, I think that too. But
bad game. Everybody has him.
I'm a little disappointed, if I'm being honest, that we haven't seen more chemistry develop between Tristan and Bartosz than I think we might have expected to do with a pit. Because when you watch Tristan on the pitch with Dax kind of fills in the defensive spaces in a way that free Tristan up to be more mobile offensively and work that number 8 pivot spot better. And that's not a knock on Sleesh's play. I don't think Sleesh played badly. I just think his style of distribution and his way of defending doesn't mesh as well with what Tristan does.
100% agree with you.
And it's unfortunate because on paper they should be more cohesive than they are.
Agreed.
And I don't know why it doesn't seem to be working between that pair.
Yeah, those two pieces aren't working as well as they should. Speaking of pieces, set pieces. So listen, double-digit corners, 12, maybe even 13 by the end of the game. And you're telling me we couldn't get a shot on target, let alone an actual goal. We haven't scored from a corner this season at all.
My question,
either direct second ball one, play continues for a little bit and still results in a goal. Nothing. I think we do have a set piece coach, if I remember correctly. Are we just not working on enough? These are opportunities, especially in a match where you're behind, maybe you're not playing your best players aren't available. You're never going to get better goal scoring opportunities than a game that allows you to stop playing for a minute, take the ball over somewhere, and kick it towards the goal. And we can't get something out of those? That's not good enough, man. It's not. We have to be more productive. At least put something on frame. Am I wrong?
That's really like that's the thing. We are. Why are I don't know.
On frame.
Lennon's service has been very inconsistent this year, so I can chalk some of that up.
Let's loop Brooks in at number 2 on this, because I thought he was better, but you disagree.
So I started writing a take like that. It looked like it was, he was, the first 10 minutes of the match. Oh, look at Brooks's service. It looked so much better. It was getting to the right spaces and things like that. And then as it went on, I felt like we were back to the Brooks that we've been getting for the last 2 months and change, almost 3 months now, where, since Gigi went on the schneid, it was like, so as Gigi went, here went Brooks, unfortunately. And I don't feel like all of, again, we're not getting the consistency of service location that he was delivering over the last couple of years, where he was kind of the only bright spot in the forward core. I don't know what it is. It's really a mixed take for me, because obviously I feel like that's part of the issue with the corner. He was so much better last year, and we got we were like the number 1 set piece scoring team last year.
His deliveries last night were pretty good.
I was going to say, it was better, but also I don't know that he knew where the hell that his delivery was supposed to go, because you've got a rotating core of tall defensemen. Sometimes you have Steen, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have Williams, sometimes you don't. Like, that's really hard. And now you no longer know who the hell's going to be up front, in terms of striker, whatever. So how is he supposed to build it in chemistry? I don't think it's all on him, but I, again, don't think he has snapped out of it completely in the way that you outlined. And my other, bookend take to that was asking you and Kat in the group chat yesterday what the over-under of us scoring a goal off a set piece was before the All-Star break.
So we both saw this. Like, it's just not good enough. Those are 2 high-value chances, and we need to place more value on getting something out of them. We're not at the training grounds. We don't see what they work on every day. Clearly, we need to work more on it, because you got to get more out of that. You don't be scoring every time, but on frame. Like, put this on frame.
It should at least result in something that shows up on XG.
Yes.
Right? Not just
it has not just padded our XG at all.
Having a corner in the first place, right? Like, yeah.
And now we don't have...
It's really frustrating, especially in some of these matches that we've been chasing.
Yeah.
Right? And you're getting these set pieces late in the game.
Yes.
And these would be difference-making opportunities. And, I wasn't on the pod on Sunday, but right before Tiare stole a rabbit out of, what's-his-face's hat, it was a beautiful set-piece opportunity that yet again we failed to convert on.
Yeah.
And had Tiare not been, Mr. Magic Magician there with his sneaky Roadrunner Coyote, whatever awesomeness that was, we would have been singing a very, very different tune walking out of that building.
True. Yeah.
So, this is a problem. I think if you want to talk about and I think fixing that would fix so many
lot of stuff, right?
Things.
And you would think of all the myriad of problems that this club has that are complex and difficult to deal with. This should be like something a little bit easier. I'm not saying that scoring from anywhere on the field is easy. Scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in this game. But you would think that addressing that one problem, should be the easiest thing to do to get more out of it.
Exactly.
Like, let's design some stuff off the training ground. Doesn't mean you have to go short and come up with these Ted Lasso-esque complicated plays.
No.
Let's just practice on, Brooks, if you're listening, really good service, and knock down a ball, win it, right? Like, let's just anticipate that a little bit better and be very switched on in those moments. And then, let's throw in a short corner and some other trickery every once in a while. Have that in your back pocket. Let's do it.
If they go a whole nother match without scoring off of a set piece, I think Rob Valentino should loan them all out to Waste Management and have them go learn how to pick up trash.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't.
You know,
Garbage goal just as good as a golazo. It don't matter. Throw your body in front of it. Get it over the line. Don't care.
It is a big part of winning in this league is
trash goal FC.
Being able to recycle the trash.
Well, maybe that'll be a good team outing, team bonding experience.
I think it would be fun. I would. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine Zonde just hanging off the side of a garbage truck, just picking stuff up? I love it.
Wait! Can I segue a super awesome Zonde story? Because
please, I wish you would. I wish you would.
I
know the story. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the men's team match at the Benz on Thursday. It was pretty freaking awesome, and we sat in the bougie club, and it was amazing. And Julia and I were walking out of the building, and she was talking to one of the security guys.
Julia from
Footy Mob. And she was we had stopped for a minute to talk to one of the safe guys that we know who was in the club, but normally works down by the supporters section and whatnot. So we're talking to him, and all of a sudden this guy starts walking by, and Julia just lost it. She's like, oh my God, I know you, oh my God, who are you? And the guy turns around and he looks at us. I'm Jean Day.
I'm like, Batman, oh my God, Michael Keaton style.
You're Spider-Man. You're so awesome. And he shook our hands and then went off about his business, and we didn't get it, but whatever. Anyway, I felt bad because, like, Julie, we were just fangirling all over this poor man who just wanted to watch a soccer game, right? Like, that's just,
it comes with the territory of being a talented professional athlete that's, means
it was
a lot
just
to
it was just really funny because Julia could not get his name. Like, it was adorable, and he was very cool about it. So thanks for putting up with us, Jean Day. We appreciate you. We were also in the bougie club, so there may have been alcohol involved with that whole incident.
No, really, unlimited alcohol. All right. Yeah. Let's wrap it up with somebody that maybe doesn't need to be on the side of the garbage truck.
No,
Ajani. Fortune was a little unfortunate that he didn't score. A couple really good saves against a couple of the shots that he had. With more time and development, and I hope that goes well because he's being thrown into the fire right now. Let's be honest. He's seeing more time and minutes and more responsibility than maybe the club would like right now in an ideal world for his best development. But he's doing pretty well with it. So the right pieces around him, he can be a real game changer if he continues along the way that he's at. He's very unpredictable. And he's, more importantly, dude ain't afraid to have a hit. Shoot. Shoot. So it's a shame that it hasn't scored because either of
he's had the few
chances he's had over the past few games, they're all goal of the week contenders if they ripple the net. All of them.
My take that I wrote on this was Jay Fortune outplaying Firmino for first team minutes is definitely not something anyone had on their bingo cards this year.
Nope. Considering Firmino's season with the twos, albeit last season, I think we really expected to see a lot more of him. And
going into preseason and the way that he played in preseason, I think there was a lot of expectation that he would be the one to step in and fill Thiago's shoes when Thiago was out on international duty and possibly if and when Thiago's been sold. And the fact that Fortune's been basically playing him off the pitch, I think is just, it's a development that nobody saw coming. And I want to give Jay a lot of credit for this because
he's earned it.
He has in the minutes that he's had over the last couple of months, I think really shown in a lot of positive ways, in much the same way that Luke Brennan in his cups of coffee has shown that he's mature enough to handle it, that he's putting himself in the right places. And I think this goes back to the discussion that we had about the academy and giving more credit to the academy for developing players within a system where
developing them with their skills and their character. These are tough moments. These kids, their kids, have been thrown into. This club is not at a good place right now. It's just not. You're a kid, and all of a sudden you're handed this responsibility. But somehow the academy has prepped these players, these kids, and developed them into men. And to be able to handle this, that's impressive. They're doing something right.
Well, we were asking we were all wondering last night, man, why isn't Noah Cobb playing? Where's Noah Cobb? Noah Cobb, who was certainly not supposed to be, Mr. Dependable center back for this season. We weren't, he was supposed to, sit quietly and learn, whatever. But I think if you look at Caleb Wiley and what happened to Caleb Wiley in 2022 and the example that Caleb is setting, even at 19, right? He is absolutely the model that these kids are looking at as to someone who got opportunity, took advantage of opportunity, learned from it, and grew from it, and now is apparently off to play for Chelsea Football Club.
Never. Loan out FC. He'll be loaned out to Strasbourg or some other club. But I would love to see him run around in a blue shirt. That'd be fun. That'd be great, but it's not going to happen.
The fact that, one of the, top 6 visible squads in the world, that organization wants this kid in their organization.
Yeah, it's a huge nod of respect.
Yeah.
Right? And a reaffirmation of who this player is.
Mm-hmm.
He is that player. He does have that quality. He does have that potential. His ceiling is that high. And now we got Cobb and Fortune kind of going like a call to and following down that same path. This path is very well worn now.
And I think there were a lot. I think somebody brought up George Bello last week, and I think there have been a lot of lessons learned, not only by the club, right, who didn't do anything wrong. They got George Bello exactly what George Bello wanted, right? So nobody did anything wrong.
We've always done right or done our best to do right by the player.
Correct, which is really, again, speaks to the fact that on every player annual survey, they all say they want to play here.
Yep. And the couple players that are disgruntled, we can point to reasons about why that might be, so.
But I also think, you look at how George Bello's career has turned, and the players are not, the players that came up behind him weren't ignorant of all of that. And I think that little bit of slow your roll, don't put the cart before the horse is serving everybody is serving everybody well in that regard. I'm thrilled for the success that Jay is having this year. I hope it continues. I would have loved to have seen Trinidad and Tobago make it into Copa, and they were this close. They were super, super close, because then Jay would have gotten a chance to play in his home building for which would have been cool. Would have been cool, but hopefully he'll get there. He'll have some good turns internationally, and again, the number of we look at all of this with the big picture, right? We are for all that we have all this turnover, whatever, we are still a big club. We are regularly putting half the roster out on international duty, right? That's not a small feat.
It's not.
And I'm not saying, we didn't play a full strength, including Carlos Heel, New England last night, but they did not have players out for the reasons that we had players out, right? So again, I'm not lumping injury bugs, but a lot of the teams, that we were playing, playing Toronto, they were down a few people for international duty. But again, it's not the same thing when it's half your starting lineup, right? And you're missing 2 players, right? And we're missing 7 to 9 players because of it. And that's the kind of club we want to be in. And that's why I think all of us continue to hope that the messy effect for MLS is roster expansion, more roster freedom, more cap space.
I think this club can really take off with more of that freedom, because the ambition is there, the willingness to invest, to commit, to spend, to develop. That is all there, and it has always been there. It doesn't mean we've always succeeded.
No. And like Jack said a few weeks ago, not every rebuild is going to work out.
No. I mean, look, Gigi took me by surprise. Both ways. Yeah. Last year when he came in, I was like, oh, man, you want to wear number 7. Okay. Yep. And then he did it. I was like, Jesus Christ, did we hit a home run replacing Joseph out the gate? That's incredible. How in the world did we pick this guy out? Well done, front office. And then a collapse. Equally as surprising. I don't know. Because for all intents and purposes, the end of last season, he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy,
Yeah.
and he was doing all the right things, saying all the right things, carrying himself the right way. Maybe a little too frustrated at times. We wish his attitude would be a little bit better. Too injured. Okay. We forgive. And then it just, bye, peace. Sorry, I left my time here. Very strange. Very weird how quick that went south. Can't predict it, but like you said, you can't all the time.
No, and I mean, I think again, if
and that's not on the front office. I don't think that collapse. I don't.
No, I don't either. Because again, the metrics, the paper, the scouting, like everything that you saw, for last year, like again, there was just no reason for it. So, here we are, and
we're the same place we were last summer.
Literally. Well, actually, we're in a better place because we're currently sitting in playoff position, and this time last year we were not. So
okay.
And I think the difference being that we're a little more self-aware. And I think also, look, for what it's worth, I think Rob Valentino's in a better position to succeed with a hodgepodge motley crew than Pineda was. Because the thing with Pineda is we were all waiting to see what he could do with a fully fleshed out roster. And what he did with a fully fleshed out roster was nothing different. Right?
Yeah, the progression wasn't there.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. The progression wasn't there. It didn't get better enough.
Right.
Enough. And that's unfortunate. And now here we are about to fill 2 new DP slots without a coach. Wondering how that's going. Are we trying to pursue this coach first, or is another coach going to be faced with what Pineda was faced with when he came in? Like, here's your team. Yeah. Good luck.
The thing I hope is that, and I think because of where we are in the standing, like last year, it was kind of desperation. I think we were a lot more desperate last year for success because of the things that, Garth had come in and said, because of the goals and I'm not saying that these goals have changed, but I think there is no desperation at this point. We have sold our big players. Everybody kind of knows where we're at. So there's not really a rush and an onus to find success right now.
No, that ship has sailed.
If we find success this season, it's going to be gravy. I still think we're like all in, open cup, go for broke, try to get that trophy. But 100%. When it comes to Leagues Cup, when it comes to league play, I think it's going to be, okay, well, we realized that, we didn't get where we wanted to be with this first set of options. So it's got to be
focused on the rebuild.
Right. And I don't want to see them make the wrong decision.
No, on player or coach. I would much rather you, if you need to take extra time, whatever, at the expense of win an MLS Cup or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let
me be real. Watching a team where you don't know what you're going to get every week is not uninteresting or unfun.
Yeah, it's better than, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
Yep, we're going to lose.
And a month ago, we were all like,
No. Kristen brought this up too. We got some unpredictability to us right now.
Yeah.
Kind of don't know what's going to show up, and that's fun.
How is our opposition going to prepare for that? They don't know what it
that's tough too.
This week.
That's tough too. It'll be really interesting our first game when we have our new players.
Right.
Whoever those are. They will get filled this summer. There's no way we just go the rest of the season without 2 more DPs.
Yeah.
That's going to be real interesting, and that's a good point you bring up. Whoever that opponent is, I don't know. We're kind of hard to scout right now because you don't know if Johnny's just going to go off and have a banger.
Right.
Or if Muyumba's just going to cough it up, or maybe he has a great game. Like, our inconsistency might actually be something of an asset for us right now in the terms of you can't plan for it. It's real hard to plan for.
Rob has shown 3 different formations.
Right.
3 different. What formation's going to show up today? So again,
it was easy to plan for Pineda Ball.
Yep.
Very easy. Yep. Now, listen, if Pineda Ball worked and this tiki-taka pass you to death, 65% possession, you ain't going to have a chance to score because we're locked down and we're getting chances on goal. Well, then great. You're Pep Guardiola. Congratulations. He wasn't, and this team isn't Man City. Right now, it's like, okay, well, they're not playing Pineda ball anymore. I don't know. So maybe we embrace the chaos. Maybe we embrace that just don't know what's going to happen. I'm talking about us as fans and players, and wield it to your best advantage and keep teams guessing, keep them on their toes. But, got to put it in the net, though. Use that unpredictability, but you got to score, man.
Yeah, that's the big question. Who's going to do it?
Yeah, and I know team never has functioned and never will function well without a proper 9. I get it, but
we got to learn how to function without our 10 before we. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. We got work to do, but at least it's going to be interesting along the way.
No, you can't say that we're boring.
No,
at least there's that.
At least there's that.
Well, I hope we haven't bored y'all. I hope you've enjoyed listening on this 4th of July. Who knows? Maybe the last 4th of July in this country. Don't know what's going to happen in the future. America seems to be Team USA seems to be losing on a couple different fronts as of late, depending on your point of view, I suppose. But yeah, maybe times aren't super great. But we hope you're having a great 4th and enjoying your time off.
Don't blow off your fingers. You need those.
Yes.
Fire safety. Have a bucket of water, maybe a fire extinguisher.
Probably should emphasize that to the players as well. We have enough injuries. Yeah. I really don't want to see an availability report. Tristan is out because he's missing 3 toes. Like, I don't want to see anything like that. I want to see anything like that for anybody else. Y'all be safe. Just be responsible and
don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and let off fireworks.
Let the sober people blow the shit up.
Yes, just leave this to the professionals and just kick back and enjoy some more Euros in Copa, even if your teams are out.
All my teams are out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? It's unfortunate. Canada's still in it though, correct?
Yes, they are.
Jesse Marsh. Okay. Interesting.
Don't stop believing.
Equal amounts of interesting and embarrassing. I guess we'll pull for Canada. All right, y'all.
Actually, I'm pulling for Colombia. I like Colombia.
Colombia. Okay.
Yeah.
Not Argentina.
It's the outbreak. It's the natural outgrowth of my Linda C obsession.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
also best traveling
Caicedo's
contingent.
Incredible. Yeah, so that's
best traveling contingent on the planet, bar none. Best traveling contingent on the planet.
I have a couple neighbors on my block that are Colombian, and the flags have been.
They know how to party.
Yep.
You want to party? Go party with the Colombians. They do it better than us. They don't blow off their hands.
Fair enough. All right, y'all. Be safe out there. Appreciate you listening and supporting us. Through all our changes and supporting Mason Mill through all their changes. It means a lot to us. And I told it to Kat. I'll tell it to you. Thank you very much for keeping this thing going while I've been away. I hope I'll be able to keep coming back. Things are still, I'm still busy taking care of my sister who's now living with myself and my wife here as she pursues her mental health treatment here in Atlanta, and she's, by the way, cool with me talking about that, and we should be. We gotta erase the stigma on surrounding mental health. Mental health is health. That's it. Every bit is physical health, heart health, whatever. Don't blow your fingers off health. It's all health, and it's important to acknowledge that it's important, and it's okay to raise your hand. Say, I need some help, and lean on people. Lean on people you're close to, family and friends, because real family and real friends want to help and want you to be the best version of yourself. Talking about you, Muyumba. All righty. We'll be back, I think, in a few days' time. We'll probably have another pod here for our Saturday fixture. Who do we have? I forget. I can't remember.
Oh, it's Real Salt Lake, so that's going to be...
Oh, that's right. We're still on the road. We're going out mountain time. RSL has been good this season.
Very,
Arango is
very
a
good.
force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, really enjoy their goal celebration song. I like that they don't play a song and they just do their song around the stadium. I like it. I would like to go to a game there. I haven't been up that way yet. It's on my road trip destination.
There's a decent amount that, you know, for it being so far away and kind of in the middle of nowhere.
We travel well.
Yeah, there's definitely a good contingent that's going out there. So you kids have fun, enjoy the Red Rocks and the scenery and the things that the Mormons let you do out there. Hope you packed your special underwear, but yeah. Anywho, but yeah, no. So y'all safe travels if you're headed out that way for the weekend, and yeah, we'll talk about it on Sunday, and hopefully it won't be the debacle that I'm seeing it's going to be in my head because yeah, RSL's really good this season. Shockingly good this season.
Tune in. You don't know what you're gonna get. Very unpredictable, but entertaining. Yay. All right, y'all. We'll be back on Sunday. It'll probably go out on Monday morning, Monday afternoon. Until then, y'all be good. We will be back. Chickens and cats. Sure.